Welcome back to Where You Live on Shaw TV. We have Jessie Roberts here with us. Again, you remember her from the first segment. Thanks for coming back, Jessie.
You're welcome.
Excellent. So we are here at the Brody Resource Library. Is that correct? Did I say it right?
Yes.
Excellent. And we're actually talking about a neat project that's in the works, that's been in the works for a couple of years now.
Absolutely.
It's the World War I Centennial Project.
Yes.
Tell our viewers, what is it, first of all?
So we actually get that question a fair bit. So it's one that I'm very comfortable with. And the World War I Thunder Bay Centennial Project is, in a way, it's a bit of a grassroots project. It came about in the spring and summer of 2013 when ourselves here at the library had some conversations with staff from the City of Thunder Bay Archives, with the Sports Hall of Fame, and with the Heritage Advisory Committee, and a few other organizations that were sort of starting to think about how to commemorate the First World War and what it would mean to those of us living in Thunder Bay now. And through those conversations, eventually more partners got added on to the project group, and all of a sudden we had about 15 to 20 people sitting around the table creating what is now the World War I Thunder Bay Centennial Project, and trying our best to tell the stories of what the First World War means and meant at the time here in Thunder Bay.
And what kind of response have you had from the community for this project?
The response from the community has been fantastic. It's been far and beyond what we had sort of initially tentatively hoped for. What we've been seeing is a wonderful response in relation to individuals who are coming forward with stories and with photos and with records and different types of documents and ephemera that they have either inherited or that have been saved in their families from past members of the family who had taken part in some way in the First World War. And those individuals are now coming forward and bringing that material to the project so that we are then able to scan it, craft the story around it to the best of our ability in collaboration with those community members, and then provide it online, because the project solely exists as a digital sort of object in a way, and it's constantly developing and growing because of the community contributions that we've been seeing.
That's fascinating. So you kind of answered my question. So it's online, and each year, do you keep adding to the content you've received from previous years?
Yeah, it's actually more regular than that. It's being added to monthly.
Wow.
So every single month there are some standing additions and growth opportunities for the project, such as obituaries that were printed in the Fort William and Port Arthur newspapers for that month 100 years ago from now. We're also reposting the soldiers' letters that were being sent home each month and again published in the local newspapers. The City of Thunder Bay Archives has been scouring city council minutes. So every single month we are sort of telling a truncated version of what conversations were happening at the two city councils every single month directly in relation to the First World War. So we're showing some very interesting and complementary and sometimes contrasting and conflicting perspectives on what conversations and theories were being posed around what was happening at that time.
And that's Fort William, Port Arthur City Councils.
Exactly.
Thunder Bay.
Exactly. And then as we are receiving community contributions, they are being crafted and uploaded to the project as soon as we are feasibly possible, and able to do that, so that there isn't a huge lag time between when somebody shares something with us and when it goes live for the rest of the community and essentially the rest of the world to be able to access.
Wow. That is such a cool project. It's a really neat idea, because those stories need to be told.
They do.
And as the years go on, there's less and less people to tell those stories.
Exactly.
So we really, rely on the family members and to help share that story with their trinkets. Now, what's been one of the biggest surprises that you've come across so far?
I think one of the biggest surprises, and I think actually before I give a specific example, probably the biggest surprise that we've seen with the project has been the level of connection. Everybody always jokes about how Thunder Bay is such a small town and there's 1 degree of separation. Yep. That was true 100 years ago. And what we've been seeing are some really, really interesting connections and threads that are linking different stories that are coming in from different sources. And we've been able to connect people in ways that we weren't expecting. And a specific example of that has to do with the Fryer family. So you might have heard of the Fryer Photography Studio that used to be in operation here in Thunder Bay. And there was a very lovely woman and her mother who came in about a year and a half ago and brought us this amazing scrapbook. And it was full of everything. You know, the wife of this member of their family, his name was Hal Fryer, his wife Pearl had kept everything, and I mean absolutely everything, to do with his experience and the family's experience at home during the war. And then through this material, we realized that Hal Fryer was actually connected with the Fryer Photography Studio, and then it connected to some research that was being done via Lakehead University, and it helped answer some questions along the way for some different people.
Connected.
It is.
That's so cool. Now, with just something that really came to mind when you're explaining this was the scrapbook. And how I just kind of had a bit of a scary thought thinking, 20 years, 30 years down the line, we're not going to really have those scrapbooks.
No.
Because everything is online now, which is a good thing. But I just think it's really something would be to remind people to keep doing these scrapbooks, actually have physical documentation of your families instead of having just online. Just kind of came to mind.
Yeah, exactly. And like we were talking about in one of the previous segments, I think it was in the introduction, about the interaction, the physical interaction with a record or with a document or say with a scrapbook, and you are directly interacting with that piece of history. So by putting everything online, we are providing as much access at a digital level as we can possibly provide, but for the individuals that are bringing us these physical objects, we're also giving them digital copies. So we're usually emailing copies of photos or copies of scans that we took for the project so that they can then have a preservation copy of that item, so that if something happens or as time takes its toll on the original copies, that they still have something that they can refer to.
Excellent. Now, what's been one of the biggest challenges so far?
I think the biggest challenge has been the time frame. We're talking about a project that has already been going on for, we're into the third year, and we've got 2 more to go. This is a very, very time-consuming project. So I think that's been probably the biggest challenge, is just making sure that we can keep everything going and keep the momentum up, and having the opportunity to really connect with our community members and keep it at the forefront of everybody's mind.
Excellent. So time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
Now, right before we wrap up on this segment here, what role do our viewers at home, what do they play in this?
So I think the most important role that that the viewers and that the members of the community play is to feed the project, essentially, is to dig out those boxes that are hiding in the attic or in the basement or at your brother's house and share them. Bring the material in that you want to share and get in touch with us. There is a direct email address for the project, and they can talk to any of the project partners about it.
And we'll put that on the screen. And is there a website, a link where people can view this?
Absolutely. So it's tbpl.ca/World War I.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jessie. That's
Thank you.
Really valuable information, and I'm really excited for the project.
Thank you.
Keep watching Where You Live on Shaw TV.